Hello, welcome to a brand new episode. In today's episode, we are talking about the future of personal branding and where it's going and how you can elevate yours. And what you will notice is it's very personal, my advice here. I'm not going to be talking about technology. I'm not going to be talking about systems or automation or any of that. I am bringing it back to the personal. So I hope it's useful for you today. The first thing I want you to notice is how things have changed. So when I was a kid, the people that were famous were the pop stars, the footballers, and the presenters on TV, whether that was the presenters of Blue Peter or This Morning or, I don't know, Songs of Praise. Oh, and also the actors, the movie stars as well. So those people were the famous people. And then what happened was social media came in, bloggers, vloggers, content creators, and suddenly this sense of what was well known, what was famous became different. So what has now happened is that there is an accessibility to many more different people's lives. And I think that when I was a kid, when you thought about the movie stars or those sorts of things, I mean, my granny used to get like the OK magazines and the Hello magazines. And sometimes, I don't know if they still kind of do these things, but it was a very much like at home with. And it was very stylized. And I always used to just think that they had really fluffy rugs and everything was really plush and coordinated. And it felt very out of reach and out of touch from how we were experiencing life. But what is happening right now is that accessibility has really become the currency. We have accessibility to people's brains, their house styles, what they're having for their dinner, how they parent their kids, their mental health, their trauma journey, the conversations. Everything is changing. So that sense of really thinking, and I think so many personal brands do this, of being generic and not giving any personality or insider information, I think it's really going to make people fall short. Because unless you're saying something interesting or juicy or giving your own perspective, they could just get that generic information by typing a few things into the internet or buying a book. People really want to see you, your flavor, and what you're all about. The second thing is that everything used to be on the TV. And because we only had those 4 channels and then 5 channels, TV was everything. I mean, I remember going on holiday when I was about 17 and some of the EastEnders cast were there. And also one of them, the other person wasn't an actor, but one of them was getting married in the hotel on our complex. And my mind was absolutely blown because these people they were in our living room, and whether or not you watched EastEnders or not, you knew about these people. And now, with the introduction of phones and everybody being online, it's not just limited to TV. And so what we're noticing is people are not just relying on that TV network in terms of their fame, in terms of their power, in terms of their authority, in terms of their expert status. They are taking that everywhere. And so what I want to remind you today is that you absolutely could build something online, build a great community, make a lot of money without waiting for that call out of the blue where you get to go on the telly. Number 3, this leads me on to saying that nobody is waiting for, or nobody has to only wait for a commission to get noticed. And I think that many people were hoping and wishing and writing letters and sending fax and hoping that somebody would say yes because there will be a team of boards who'll be like, you are now the favorite, you are now the flavor of the month, so you get to come and join us. I think it's important to realize that you have a say, you have options, you have things that you can do right now. So don't allow yourself to be convinced that you have to wait. There are other ways through the doors that you want to open now. Number 4, your audience or a audience has power. And I think that when we were kids, or when I was a kid, it was very much like we didn't have any power at all. The only way that we had power was whether or not we decided to watch something or not. But generally, we would watch it, even if it was a bit rubbish, because we only had 4 channels, and maybe we were at our grandparents' house and they're like, well, we're not entertaining you with activities, you can watch the telly. So we would end up watching things just because they were available, just because they were watching. However, now the audience is something that people are seeking. The audience has way more discernment and power, essentially. So they will call things out. They will cancel people. They will smell that lack of authenticity. And I know when celebrities have sometimes done those weird brand collaborations where, sometimes, we'll say this at home, like, wow, somebody's got an accountancy bill that they need to pay, or somebody is just going for it because it's on the table. And also, each to their own. If you need to make money and you need to make money fast and you've got mouths to feed, absolutely do what you need to do. But also, your audience are really attuned now. So the way that you make decisions as a personal brand has to be considered, because if it's not in alignment with what people know or what people expect, or doesn't make any sense, people will feel uneasy about that and maybe question it. Which brings me on to number 5. Alignment has to be key, and you have to play the long game and the short game. Now, we have seen many personal brands, celebrities change, move into new categories. And I remember when this first started happening, and it started happening in the US. There'd be film stars such as Reese Witherspoon, who started as an actor, and as soon as she moved into producing and having a book club and having a media company, people were very shocked about all of this. Now it's become much more normalized, especially for women. However, as the audience, it needs to make sense. And so being able to explain why we are doing what we are doing and having that mission and playing that short game and the long game is really important. Taking your audience on the journey is key, because sometimes if you make those decisions and you don't say anything or you don't talk about it, it can feel like a jump. It can feel a bit confusing. Remember, also, people who are watching are often people who like to put you in a box. And I remember this so frequently, like when I trained to be a coach at 29, people were like, is that it for the acting then? Are you not doing that? And it's like, no, I'm still doing the acting, and I'm still doing the speaking and the content creating and the collaborating and all of these things. But I'm also following my interest. I'm also sharpening my skills. I'm also bringing something new to the table. And so when you are doing this, so it doesn't feel random or confusing, if you can express that and bring your audience with you, it's often going to serve you well. Number 6, people are diversifying. So people are not just relying on the fact that they have one presenting gig. If you look at, say, somebody like Claudia Winkleman, for example, she has many successful shows on the TV, but also she's written books. Also, she's on panel shows. Also, she's got a hair commercial collaboration. She's also collaborated with other people. Now, her fashion is of interest. And so people are diversifying. However, there's always a golden thread throughout all of these successful personal brands. So whether you're seeing Claudia in her book or listening on the radio or watching her on the TV or hearing a podcast interview about her hair, it all is her. And it's just showing different versions of her. There's never that one moment where it's like, oh, on Saturday night, she's really sparkly and fun. And then, or that's not a great example because she does The Traitors. But then she always has a bit of underlying wit to all these things. The seventh thing I want you to consider is people now don't just need you to be real. They also want to move you from being real to healed. And I think that there was a pattern of personal brands where people would, and it started in reality TV, they'd go, I just want you to see the real me. And sometimes the real version of them was really badly behaved, was really chaotic, was really bitchy, was really controlling, or all of these things. Or sometimes people would say, well, I'm never going to change now. And it's like, okay, so, but does that mean that we suddenly excuse all of your bad behavior? Absolutely not. I think that if you are putting yourself in any kind of environment where you're the expert or you want to have that authority brand, I think it is your responsibility to show that people can be safe with you. And for me, when I'm thinking about my online presence, or I guess, okay, so when I'm thinking about online presence, I don't want to be crying on the internet. I do not want to make a video and be like, oh, guys, this thing has just happened. Like, it's just awful. I just don't know what to do. Like, that for me does not feel right. However, if I'm on a panel and something happens or somebody stands up and share their story and it moves me, if a tear comes or if a moment for connection authentically comes, I'm never going to be like, no, I'm the expert. Okay, as you were, carry on. Like, I'm not going to show that a cold side of me in that way. And I think that understanding the work that you need to do personally before you even get to your personal brand is really important in these times, because we've seen too many people crying on the internet because of something that has just happened. And I think that we become a bit numb to it, or it just becomes fodder that people are screen grabbing and sharing. And I don't want you to be in that situation. And so I want you to be very discerning about your journey behind the scenes and what work you need to do. Because there are certainly things in my personal life, throughout my life, that you'll never know. They'll never be on the internet. They'll never be in a public conversation. They'll never come from me. That is not how I want to do things. Does that mean that those things don't happen behind the scenes? Absolutely not. But Brené Brown said it brilliantly when she said, share from the scar, not the wound. I think that is really important. And ultimately, if people are handing over their money and they want you to be the expert, they want to feel like they can be safe in your presence as well. Number 8, this is absolutely key to having a personal brand in 2026 and beyond. You need to have and you need to put time and focus into your online portfolio. The know, like, and trust factor. Where you've been, who you are, and just show us. Just show us, allow us to browse in our own times. I think that moment or that sense that we're like, people know. Yeah, but they may have forgotten. Yeah, they may not have been thinking about you this whole entire time. I think we need to make those choices, and we need to put that effort into building our websites, building something offline, building content platforms that it makes sense immediately, who we are and where we've been. And likewise, in number 9, where we are going next, what we're interested in, what we're reading about. And in order to develop and diversify and move into different spheres, I think that it has to make sense for our audience. And there has to be that personal connection. So gone are the days where there might have been a celebrity where they just put their name on something and they're like, great, I got 200 grand. I don't need to think about it. This is why we're seeing founder first business models work so brilliantly, because often that founder has developed this or been part of the development process from a personal experience, part of their story. It resonates in some way with their life too. And those businesses, when you mix that with strategy and consistency and a great product, they are always going to live on because it gives people a reason to purchase something. So say, for example, you've always talked about fashion, and then you maybe want to develop or collaborate on a food product, for example. Maybe, I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, maybe you want something because in your fashion content, you always felt really bloated, for example, or constipated, or you have had IBS. A great move to move into a food product is to work with or on something that ticks all of those boxes, that has helped you personally. Number 10, it's your responsibility to think about what you're bringing to the table and be strategic and be thoughtful and not just stumble upon things or hope for the best that somebody will come in and tell you what to do. I know how easy it is because I'm watching people all the time. Like, I'll ask AI what my next move is. AI does not know you. AI will only be able to figure out what it needs to tell you based on what you tell it. And I think that there are these moments, when people have gone on holiday, for example, they might back in the 90s have gone on a holiday and it's like, well, our next door neighbors loved it. But like, we just had a really horrible time. And that's so weird because we really trust the judgment of our neighbors. Well, the truth is, you've gone with your 4 kids and your neighbours went as a honeymoon couple. And yes, you might value the same things. But if this is an adult-only hotel that you're trying to stay in, they don't want your 4 kids there. They don't want that moment. And it's not going to be suitable for you. And so I want you to really be clear on what your goals are and where you are going, and not just stumble into things or use language of like, I don't know, I'll just see what happens. I'll just see where the mood takes me. Yes, it's lovely to have a sprinkle of spontaneity sometimes, but sometimes it needs your eyes, your ears, your instinct, your judgment, your discernment, what's happening, and then matching what's happening in the world, and then bringing your skill set and meeting that and being in conversation, not just always thinking about the world and then being overwhelmed by it, or just thinking about yourself and not having an audience or the right tone for it. If I can help and support you on your personal brand and elevating it and taking it to the next level on your terms, please send me a message. I'm booking in people. Let me know how that lands, and I'll see you soon. Bye.